Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissack and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. We were just talking about your sign behind you. I think Kate and I are going to get neon ones. Have you seen the neon ones? I want a neon one.
Yes. I love those. But I thought Kate already has a neon one. No? It's just the lights. It's the lights and the purple lights.
Yeah, I was afraid to do it because I was afraid I didn't know how that would look on camera, but Kate says it'll be all right. So if Kate says it'll be all right, it'll be all right.
I love it. I still want those up lights, but I haven't done that yet either. So
you have to teach me about the up lights. I have no idea what those are. Okay, So today we're just going to do a catch up. We're going to catch up with what we've been doing, what's going on, all that stuff. So kick us off. What's up?
Yep. Okay. Well, I thought one of the things we might talk about real quick first, and then we'll talk about some things we've been into or things we've been listening to or watching. Well, actually, let me just do with a guilty pleasure first. You know, we don't watch a lot of TV, but every now and then Adam and I'll get into a good show on Netflix and we'll get, it's got to be like a good one. And so I had to tell you, have you and Jimmy watched Diplomat? It's new on Netflix.
No. Okay. It's a mini series because I can't watch very mini series.
No, it's just one. It's 7 episodes, I think.
I could do it.
Yeah, you could do it. And it's really, really good. But we just finished it, but the ending was like, but now I need a new show to watch. So I got to go back and look. But Diplomat has been like, Kate just texted me and said, oh my gosh, we loved that too. Yes, it is really good. So the thing I've been up to is me and Adam just finished Diplomat and it was really good. I wanted to remember to tell you and Jimmy to watch it. But the second thing is, I feel like everybody's kind of talking about the market right now in the industry. And I heard a couple of really great things I wanted to share because I know we have a lot of real estate people that listen. And also, you and I are getting ready to go to Austin. So when we come back, we'll definitely have to do one on everything that we heard, while we're there from Gary. And I don't know if you saw, but the first day is like 5 hours of Gary.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited. Which will be really great. But it seems like right now, we're like back into seasonality in real estate. And I keep talking about this and I keep hearing this. Over the last 2 years, we really haven't had any seasonality. I mean, it's just been like 100% speed-based, go, no slowdown. Where if you'll remember, Linda, previously, like we were all waiting for the spring market. And everybody was like, man, the spring market's here. And so I heard somebody say this week that it's, instead of feeling like, because people are saying we heard Gary say, okay, come September, we're going to feel like we fell off a cliff. Well, Other people are saying there's no way because I'm slammed. I'm still in multiple offers. I'm the busiest that I've ever been. Well, I heard somebody say, yeah, but it's because those people maybe haven't been licensed long enough to feel the true seasonality of the business. And really, ultimately, right now, we could just be back to seasonality that we haven't had the last 3 or 4 years, meaning that it really could slow down come September because right now we're in the spring market that those of us that have sold for years used to wait and hope for. But then by the time Q4 rolls around in Q1 of 2021, we will feel the slower market because if the rates continue to go up and inventory still seems, still is low and all that stuff. So I just wanted to share that and also kind of get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, the thing that I've been really concerned about lately is because it has to have a ripple effect. Well, first of all, if you look at it, each of the coast, I think, are the ones that look like they were like the market was starting to come down. I read something that Austin was down 17%.
Wow.
So that's a big drop, right? Okay. So yes, the inventory is still low, but look at all the jobs that are going away. That's the other thing that you can't tell me that can't have some effect later on. So Bed Bath & Beyond closing every one of their stores. Yes. Yeah. There's an auto store that's been in business 75 years. I don't know which one it is. If it's AutoZone or one of the others, 75 stores closing. Wow. Health industries laying off. I mean, there's industries that you wouldn't expect to be laying off that are laying off. Tech is already softened, has been softening for a while. So I don't know, that to me, they can't help but have, and even if you're, because I did a talk a couple weeks ago in Austin, I mean in South Florida, and Nikki said I want you to talk about how to thrive in a shifting market, and I just
Yeah.
said I looked at the stats and their market was up. I'm like, so let's don't even talk about what to do in a shifting market. Can we just talk about what to do to build a big business no matter what the market is? So I twisted my talk, and that's what I did it on, because it's hard for people to listen when they're
Yeah.
still in multiple offers. They're still, prices still seem to be high, all those things. But you can't help but understand, if somebody moves to you from Michigan, and Michigan slows, it's going to be a ripple effect, because if they can't sell their house in Michigan, they can't move to Florida. So that's the kind of stuff I would probably start paying attention to, is where do most of my people move here from? And also learning what industry is moving where. Like, we have quite a bit of industry moving to the Dallas area, and there's tons of industry moving to Austin. Those kind of things are great, but what I would want to do is go back and look and say, what states are they moving from and what's happening there? Like when Nordstrom's closing 2 stores in San Francisco. First of all, that's probably because it's just such a screwed up place right now.
Yeah.
But 2 big stores are closing there. So those kinds of things are going to cause people to move. It's going to cause them to, I don't know. It's just it's one of those things where, oh, and the other thing, when I was in my strategic coach, one of the things that Dan said, he believes, Dan Sullivan, and he's a real researcher of history. And he said that he doesn't believe there'll be any more cheap money. So, a lot of people are still waiting around for that cheap money again, but he doesn't believe there'll be any more. And there's several reasons. One of the reasons, he said, was because our military is unwilling to protect certain countries for whatever reason that has anything to do with anything. So, so when you kind of put all those things together, I can't see that it wouldn't have some slowing at some point.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was just, we just had transmittal, and I was just looking, and our Kentucky office was down 11%, Columbus down 9%, and Indiana down 28%, and just in our areas. But the interesting thing is, not by a lot. Last April, the Kentucky office closed 18 units less than they did. I mean, 9% is not huge, but if we start to watch the trends and it continues to go, 9%, 12%, 15%, you have to really watch what's happening right now. You all recently, our listeners heard, we did an interview with James Shaw and Linda. Holy cow, by the way, I had such amazing feedback from that. It was nuts. I mean, the feedback was so good. But one of the things that he said is that everything is relative, and our job is to give perspective. Mm-hmm. And so he actually shared a certain percentage, and I don't have it in front of me, but of boomers that didn't go back to work post the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily that they retired or that they were ready to retire. They just didn't go back to what they were doing before. And then he also said that he gave stats. I love that he gives stats. It's one of the reasons why I love to learn from him. But he said that the demographic that spends more money than anybody else, he asked the question, everybody was stumped. And some of you will remember if you listened to the episode a couple weeks ago, but it was pregnant people. And so he said, right now we need to figure out how, even like a smart thing to do would be targeting ads and doing things to people who are pregnant, because they're going to have to. So that all gave me the thoughts around, it's really just, it's giving perspective, and it's figuring out what's working in the market that you're in or the market that's coming, and then going out and doing it, because success comes to the resilient was a quote that we took away from that. And I thought, man, if everybody could just be 10% more resilient than what they already have been over the next 2 years, like, they're going to be all right. It's going to be fine.
Well, and understanding, and this is back to the same point I was making about certain people are going to have to move no matter what. So don't be focusing on who might not, but instead who still will, because their life, like the pregnant people, are going to dictate what they do. They don't care what the rest of the world's doing right now. I mean, yes, we all going to be affected by certain things, but however, when your life has got this going on, that's all you're focused on. I need a bigger house, having a baby. I want them to have their own room, all those things. So again, focusing on, who will still move, and how do I get to be the person that they think of when they do move?
Yeah. I love that.
need to do to make sure I'm the person that they think of.
Yep.
That when they think
Yeah.
of selling, buying, they think of me.
Yeah. The the other thing that he talked about, which I really like, and I've used this a lot, and it's given me really good perspective too. But he said that when you ask great coaches, what determines, like, what's the difference between a winner and a loser? He said that majority of the time they'll say how you play the second half actually determines whether you win or whether you lose, like if you're a winner or a loser. And so that just got me thinking, here we are the beginning of May. I mean, in a month, our year's half over. Like, it's just crazy, number one, how fast it's gone. But number two, like, already starting now to think about the second half of the year, because if you're behind in your goals, which a lot of people are right now, really figuring out how you're going to play the second half of the year is really what's going to determine whether you're I hate to say loser, but whether you're the winner or the loser, or not. And so focusing on, like, right now, I'm really focusing on, okay, what do I need to focus on the second half? I'm focusing on what I need to focus on the second half of the year to make sure that we win at the end of the year, because things are trending a little bit down right now. So what do we need to do in the second half of the year to really nail it so that we can hit what we said we were going to do this year?
Yeah. Well, and to his point that he made, it's helping your people be more resilient and to think more strategically about, like, pregnant people. Okay, let's all sit in the room and figure out what would be a great game plan. What if you sponsored how to get your baby to sleep when it gets here. I mean, anything, just something around that's going to pull those people out.
Yep.
Just thinking, see, that kind of stuff fires me up. I mean, I would have a million ideas. Okay, we're going to go for pregnancy. Okay, let's talk about how we're going to do this. But I mean, helping your people focus on that rather than focusing on, just doing the
high.
Yeah. Or the layoffs that's going on all around, all those things.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree. So hopefully we'll have a lot more to share on the market and stuff after we get back from Austin. But I think those are some of the big things that I'm hearing and seeing and talking about right now. And it seems like people are either really, really busy, or they're not. And so getting back into lead generation, I mean, it's just always, I mean, he just flat out said, like, if you can't get into consistent lead generation, then you're not going to make the money that you want to make.
That is so true. It's like, if I had to say what's one defining thing, it's whether somebody can lead generate or not lead generate.
Yep.
And I don't know what people think, but every business is a lead generation business. So I don't know what you think when you get into real estate, or you get into business and then you're not willing to lead generate when that's the whole job.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Without the lead generation, there is no business.
No. Yep. It's so true. Yeah. There's not a lot left. And one more thing on the lead generation part is, and I was reminded of this morning on a call, but it's just, even if you just block to do it and you just do a little bit, like, you may not, it would be great if you did 2 hours a day, but just get it in your calendar so that you at least are reminding yourself that you need to do it. Otherwise, it's all the crap just gets sucked into your day every single day, and then it's over. And then by the time you go 5 or 6 days without it, okay, well, now you're in the habit of not lead generating anymore. And it happens to all of us, but it's just, you got to get back in the habit of doing it.
I think about when I struggled with lead generation, a lot of it was around the part that I'm weak at. I don't mind talking to people, and I can pretty much, I can pretty much talk to people, and I can pretty much get them to convert over if they're the motivated, kind. In other words, because, my philosophy is you can't make a seller sell, a buyer buy, or an agent join, but you can try to find the motivated that want to do those things. But I think about when I procrastinated or didn't want to do it, most of mine came on the front end of that. When I look at my Colby, I now understand the research and the follow through. If I could get somebody to get all that ready, then the calls or talking to people is not my problem, right?
Yeah.
And I think we get put in a pigeonhole, in a box, and we think there's only one way to lead generate when there's unlimited ways to lead generate. I mean, we talked about on another topic that we had that training is one of the best ways to lead generate. So offer a class, throw a class out there for consumers, how to sell your house in this kind of market. What are the things you need to be thinking about in the market that we're in if you want to sell or want to buy? I mean, so many things. that if you just put those out there, if 5 people showed up, that's more than 5 people you're talking to if you're just sitting at your desk doing nothing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So true. So true. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, we'll have more on the market next time. Anything else that you had that you're into right now? I had one more book I want to share with you, but you go next.
Well, a couple things came to mind when you said, let's talk a little bit about catch up and what's going on. So one of the things is I went to Cabo last week and something hit me. I think sometimes, especially in this kind of market that we're just talking about, I think sometimes because we think we're on vacation when we're really not, that we're not getting revived and replenished like we should.
Yeah.
So I thought about this in Cabo. I didn't hardly look at my phone at all last week. And I really just laughed with my friends, had good food, couple martinis, not many because I don't sleep very well if I do them.
Yeah.
But they were pretty, and they, it was the great ambiance, and listened to a lot of books out by the pool, laid in the sun, which I love to do.
Me too.
And I realized that I had been thinking I was on vacation because we have several homes, and when we go there, I'm always working. So it's not really like a vacation. And my trainer teases me all the time. He goes, "You're going on another vacation?" I said, "I'm not going on vacation. I'm going to the Montana house to get it ready to do all this." But then I realized the reason I'm not really on vacation. That was a real vacation last week. But normally I can go somewhere, and I think I say I'm taking a break or on a vacation, but I'm not, because I'm not getting off Zoom. I'm not talking to people. I'm not handling problems and all that stuff. So I think one of the things we have to be careful of in the kind of market that we feel like we're moving into is you've got to have that downtime. And, Dan Sullivan says you can't read a business book. You can't have a business conversation. If you want to call it a true play day, or I think he calls it, I can't remember what he calls it. Gary calls it play days. But if you want a true off day, you can't do any of that stuff. And I think we slide those things in and then still say we're off, and we're technically not. So that came to me as I was truly resting last week. But I listened to a lot of books. One of my favorites was by Peter Attia called Outlive.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I can't wait to get that.
Yeah, so I loved that he gave us several tips. So one of the main things he talked about, which is something my longevity doctor talks about, is your VO2 max is one of your, he said he used to think food was your number one indicator. He said he now says exercise. Because VO2 max is the one thing. But here's the problem. People see exercise and they think it means like all out, hard, whatever. And my longevity doctor said this for years. Really what it should be is in 30 to 40 minutes, and every once in a while do longer, in your zone 2. Well, your zone 2 is not that high. So zone 2 for me is about 107 to 126, depending on what I'm doing. So that's real hard to keep yourself that low, to be honest with you. Like if I run outside, forget it. I'm 130s, 140s, 150s. I can't keep it there. But if I can run on the treadmill or do elliptical or do the bike, I can control it.
Yep.
So VO2 max is where you go somewhere and you actually put the mask on, and they measure when does your body change and start burning something for fuel instead of whatever. It's something that changes. One of the gases that you're breathing changes to something else when you hit a certain point. That creates what they call a VO2 number. And that VO2 number, I think he said 30s is like fabulous. I'm going to go back and look at what mine is. I don't even know what mine is, but I do know what my range is. So that was a big, big change, because nutrition, yes, is important, but he used to put it over exercise, and now he puts exercise. And one of the greatest things he said in his book is to list the things you want to be able to do at 100 years old.
Love that.
So he gave me an example of, let's say you have grandkids by that time. You want to be able to pick up a 25-pound grandchild. Well, you better be squatting 55 pounds right now, because of the decline that happens over time.
Wow.
But if you're not squatting 55 right now, you're not going to be able to pick up a child at 25 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
He said, just make a long list of everything that you want to do at 100, which I think is so awesome. So I'm going to make my list of everything I want to be able to do at 100. So that was a good book. I also finished listening to 2 Week Notice.
Yep.
Which was very good by Amy Porterfield. You and I both are doing that. And then I always do the same thing when I read books. How can I use this to help my people I want to be a hero to, which is realtors?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs who are successful but overworked. How do I help them with this information? So everything I do, I try to pull it back to how do I pull this in and help help people that I want to serve.
Yeah, I love that. So good. Yeah, I know. We might need to do a whole episode on 2 Weeks Notice at some point.
And the other thing,
you got to try to get Amy on.
The other cool thing I did that week, I did do one thing one day. I had my free zone Frontier, which I only have for a year, super expensive mastermind that I'm in, coaching group that I'm in. So I didn't want to miss that. And it was kind of fun to do it and have a beautiful view. But he talked about guesses and bets. Your whole life is full of guesses and bets. So if you really think about it, go back in your life and think about when you made a guess. Because when you guess, and betting is when you commit. So let's say, for example, I'll give you an example. When I decided to hire my first assistant, I was guessing that person would multiply my success.
Yep.
I bet on it when I started paying a paycheck.
That's right.
So life is full of guesses and bets. So that was really good. That was our topic back then. And
he comes up with the best stuff. Golly.
He does. He honestly, it's so valuable. He's so smart. But here's the thing, Dana, he does one thing. Yeah, and he doesn't do 10 things or 15 things. He does one thing. And everybody else does. He has a self-managed company. So he has time to read and research. One of the questions I did ask myself is, what are the things that are getting in the way from me attending? Because he was telling us about another mastermind that he was in. And there's so many I want to do. You and I both get filled up by learning.
Yep.
And then we can bring it back and teach it to other people. But one of the things he said was, he went to this great mastermind. And the thing I wrote down on my paper was, what are the things that are keeping me from having time to go to these extra masterminds and things I want to go to? So one of my things is to go back and figure out, why am I not attending these?
Yeah.
Well, it's because if I look at my calendar, there's no room.
Yeah.
There's no room to attend them. And then the last thing on a personal level that I'm doing that I'm in love with, and I'm so glad I did, is Stretch Lab. I'm on my 120 something day. And I don't do it every day, but 99% of the time I do it. If I travel, I even find a Stretch Lab there, and I do 25 minutes, and it's changed my life. I mean, literally, I would stretch, and my trainer kept pounding me and saying, if you want to run for the rest of your life, you have to learn how to stretch. And I wouldn't do it. So I found a Stretch Lab in my area, and best thing I did all year, health-wise.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yes. I knew that you
went up to 40 something last night after a stretch day. And my sleep has gotten better. So many things have gotten better just from going and letting someone else stretch me.
Man, yeah, Adam does that and he loves it too. Like, just loves it. Yeah, love it. Those are good. Man, gosh, now I'm trying to look back and see what all I had on my little list. Those are so good. Okay, let's see. Which one do I want to share first? Well, let me share one thing. One of the books that I have been reading is called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And Adam has been obsessed with it. And so many entrepreneurs that I know have been highly obsessed with it. Adam read it and did like a whole several weeks worth of coaching around it. And yeah, you got it. There you go.
We got the workbook so far.
Yep, workbook. Yeah. So Adam reached out to Dan, and Adam's actually doing coaching with Dan now. And he is loving it. So I'm getting it kind of like, secondhand byproduct from Adam, which is really great. But on their call last week, Adam said that Dan talked to him about how to be the 10.0 version of yourself. And that's in every aspect of your life. And I don't have the whole breakdown. I'll try to get it for the next episode. But Adam said, we hear those things all the time, but just really thinking about how to be the 10.0 version in your health and with the people that you lead and in your role or your job every day, and by being a parent or being a husband or being a wife or whatever it is, and actually going through and figuring out how what is it going to take for you? What does that even look like for you to be the 10.0 version of yourself? And so that really got my mind working. And so I've been doing a lot of thinking and just note taking. I'm not really good at journaling, but I always call it note taking around what that looks like to be the 10.0 version of yourself, which also kind of goes with what you said that Peter said about everything you want to do at 100. Well, I mean, you got to be the 10.0 version of yourself today if you even want to make it to 100.
Yeah, so true.
So like, what does that even look like? So really wanted to just share that. That might give everybody something that they can think about. And he gave actionable steps, but I just don't have them in front of me. So I'll have to get them and bring them next time. And Adam and I are kind
of catch up. Your challenge to bring what Adam's learning from Dan.
Yes, I will. Yeah, I will. I'll definitely do that and bring that. But another aha that I had through that, Linda, and I know you and Jimmy are good at this too. And I was talking to one of my friends and peers and coaching clients, Olivia, this morning about her doing this exercise with her husband. Adam and I, it seems kind of like airy-fairy to say this, but when Adam and I do this stuff together, I mean, one, I feel like we help each other because we both kind of, you know each other so well that you can kind of call each other on your BS. So if you come up with a BS answer, I'm like, no, that's not you. Or he'll be like, that's not, you shouldn't have said that. But also I feel like when we really try to not work together, but we want to learn together, and you and Jimmy have been like such the best example of always learning and doing stuff together. But I feel like it's just even made Adam and I closer than what we already were when we do some of these things together, like answering those Amy Porterfield questions together, answering these Dan Martell questions together. And it's made me so grateful just having like that in a partner, because I just know so many people that don't. And so I would just say, even if you aren't doing that stuff with your partner, what would be stopping you from just taking like Adam and I went to Kiowa because I just felt like we needed a break. We needed some sun. We needed to lay out by the pool and have a cocktail, and we did work through these questions together, but that really wasn't work for us because we were kind of trying to do some other stuff. But it made me think about, so this morning I challenged Olivia, like, how can you do this with Colin this week or next week so that you guys can see what your answers are together? Because if you're going to get to your best 100-year self and the 10.0 version of yourself, why would you not want your partner to be doing the same thing? So it's just been cool to be able to do that.
That brings me to this. I love this, Dana. This is so cool. And, I was thinking about this when I was at One and Only, and we were thinking very few of our friends could actually probably go to the One and Only with us. One, because they wouldn't probably spend the money. Two, because they wouldn't want to, leave their businesses or do whatever. But, a really good point on all that is, I think it's so important to have people around you who are learning and growing, that, we've always had these ideas of what we do with people. And I got this idea from somebody on a podcast. They stopped having parties where they went and drank and went to the bars and all that stuff. And instead, he said they started having cold plunge parties.
Oh,
and
funny.
So when you say that, how fun would it be to have weekend getaways with other friends who love to do that, and everybody brings their thing they're working on, and part of what you do is either we all work on the same thing, or we all bring the thing that we're working on. But I think that brings so much more accountability to the stuff that you learn and grow. But
it does.
As you get older, it gets harder and harder to find people who are interested in growing still. And I hate meaningless conversations. They just drive me crazy. You know what I mean? And I find what people do is when they don't have something new or something that they've learned to talk about, they talk about people. And that is such a horrible, gross feeling when you sat around and talked about somebody. You know what I mean? You know that feeling. You feel dirty even. So
totally.
It's like, that's why we're, we hang out with the people that we do, because we have to hang out with people who are interested in growing and learning and the higher minded stuff. And I think that's super important too, because one of the things I just read recently was how we're about to be in an epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah.
So many people are lonely, and we're moving more and more into loneliness because it's like I sent a picture out on, I don't know if it's on Instagram. I don't know. Andy put it out for me on Instagram or Facebook, but we have this beautiful view in Cabo, and I'm sitting at the breakfast table with Gary, Nikki, and Jimmy. And I took a picture.
And everybody's on their phone.
Yes.
I saw that.
Joanne Labuda reached out and said, it must be because there's not a good view there. Not good scenery. And I watched last night. I watched last night. Some people sat around with their kids, and they had every one of their kids on electronics.
Yeah.
And they weren't even talking to each other that much. And I thought, oh, I can see how this could eventually be an epidemic. So part of what we're going to have to do is start setting those kind of scenarios up where we say, hey, we're going here this weekend. Anybody wants to go? Here's what we're going to be working on. Everybody bring your stuff and let's do it. Because I think, number one, it's going to cure our loneliness, that this is going to be the epidemic, and it's going to keep our brains active and creative.
Yeah, I love that idea. I'm always down for that. So we need to get our first one on the books then. We'll talk Dan Martell, Dan Sullivan, Amy Porterfield, and who knows what else.
Whoever we're learning from this week. Awesome. Well, great conversation, Dana. I can't wait to see you in Austin Sunday. And if you have not, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And the greatest compliment you can give Dana and I is a 5-star review, and pass this podcast along to anybody that you think would benefit from these kinds of conversations. If you have a topic, a subject, a problem, challenge, a topic that you would love to have us discuss on the podcast, reach out to us at info@everythinglife&realestate. So thank you guys. And Dana, I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.